here tonight to blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies.
Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for more videos.
Jim Carrey's reflections on Hollywood, particularly in comparison to Will Smith's career trajectory, provide a unique lens to understand the structural pressures of the entertainment industry. Carrey famously chose to walk away from the system after observing its inner workings, including the ways fame, vulnerability, and public exposure are leveraged for both personal gain and industry profit. By stepping back, he avoided the recurring cycles of spectacle and scrutiny that ensnare many stars. Will Smith, in contrast, remained fully embedded within this ecosystem, and the unfolding events in his life highlight the consequences and patterns associated with staying in the industry spotlight. From public humiliation at high-profile events to the constant revelation of personal controversies, Will's experiences reveal the complex interplay between celebrity culture and media consumption. Powerful friends, industry executives, and media outlets often provide support, but that support can quickly vanish when scandals emerge. For example, friends who were once part of his inner circle, like Diddy and other industry elites, publicly distanced themselves during moments of scrutiny, reinforcing the precarious nature of fame. Carrey emphasizes that these patterns are not isolated coincidences, but rather indicative of systemic pressures within Hollywood. The industry thrives on spectacle, rewarding exposure, vulnerability, and drama while simultaneously punishing those who step outside its prescribed narratives. In this light, Will Smith's trajectory, marked by publicized personal struggles, shifting allegiances, and escalating scrutiny, becomes a case study in the high-stakes, high-visibility world of Hollywood, where the image of perfection is carefully constructed but rarely attainable, and where the cost of fame is a continuous negotiation between personal agency and systemic expectation.
Yes.
What?
I've covered a lot of fashion weeks. This is the first time I've run into Jim Carrey. Wait, tell me, is it true you're wandering the streets? You need a date to the party? What's up?
No. I'm doing just fine. I just, there's no meaning to any of this. So I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join, and here I am.
They're celebrating.
I mean, you got to admit it's completely meaningless.
Well, they say they're celebrating icons inside.
Celebrating
Do you believe
icons,
in
boy, that is just the absolute lowest aiming, possibility that we could come up with. It's like icons. Do you believe in icons? I don't believe in personalities. I don't believe that you exist, but there is a wonderful fragrance in the air.
You don't believe certain icons have the power to make change, to think differently, to be bold, to inspire others? Artistry, you're one of them.
On the good foot. Ha! Yeah. You shut her down now. Yeah, no, I don't believe in icons. I don't believe in personalities. I believe that peace lies beyond personality, beyond invention and disguise, beyond the red S that you wear on your chest that makes bullets bounce off. I believe that it's deeper than that. I believe we're a field of energy dancing for itself. And I don't care.
But Jim, you got really dressed up for the occasion. You look good.
No, I didn't
that an
get dressed
accident?
up. I didn't get dressed up.
Who did?
There is no me.
There's no you.
No.
We're not here. This is a dream?
There's just things happening.
Jim Carrey's recent comments also included his perspective on the infamous Oscar controversy, specifically the 2022 incident where Will Smith slapped Chris Rock on stage. This moment became one of the most widely discussed and dissected events in recent Hollywood history, and Jim's take adds another layer to understanding the dynamics at play. During a televised interview with Gayle King on CBS Mornings, Jim didn't mince words about how the industry responds to moments of public humiliation, even when those moments are violent or extreme. From a commentary standpoint, Jim framed the incident not simply as a personal dispute, but as a window into Hollywood's reward system. He emphasized that the industry often elevates, rather than punishes, those who participate in spectacle, particularly when the spectacle serves broader interests, such as media attention, ratings, or maintaining the narrative of celebrity vulnerability. This aligns with the pattern he has critiqued for years. Hollywood encourages exposure, vulnerability, and emotional display because it is profitable. In other words, the system incentivizes the very behaviors that outsiders might consider embarrassing or damaging. Jim's insight is significant because it reframes the controversy as more than just a single misstep by an actor. From his perspective, it represents a broader structural problem, a pattern in which the industry rewards spectacle over discretion. The standing ovation Will received after the slap, despite global criticism, is interpreted by Jim as confirmation that the system values exposure and marketable drama over traditional notions of professionalism or personal restraint. Hollywood, in this framing, functions as both audience and arbiter, controlling what is celebrated, what is forgiven, and what is monetized. Moreover, the conversation with Gayle King underscored how public perception can be managed by those who stay within Hollywood's machinery. Jim highlighted that, despite the outrage, Will Smith maintained his position at the top of the industry, continued to secure projects, and remained a focal point of media coverage. To outsiders, this might appear paradoxical. A violent act that should result in professional consequences instead became a moment of cultural reinforcement. Jim suggested that this is not coincidence, but rather a predictable outcome of a system that rewards spectacle, vulnerability, and extreme public visibility. By framing the Oscars incident in this way, Jim Carrey also emphasized the contrast between his own approach and Will's. Where Jim opted to remove himself from the system, Will embraced it fully, and with that choice came both the rewards and the exposure. From Jim's perspective, the Oscar moment was less a moral failing than a structural illustration, a public demonstration of how Hollywood cultivates, incentivizes, and protects those who participate in its cycles of spectacle and humiliation. Finally, Jim's reflections on the event were not purely evaluative, they carried a cautionary undertone. His framing implies that being embedded in Hollywood carries inherent risks, including loss of autonomy, public vulnerability, and personal exposure. For Jim, this is evidence of a recurring pattern where the system doesn't merely observe celebrity behavior, it shapes, controls, and amplifies it for its own benefit. The Oscars incident, therefore, becomes emblematic, illustrating the interplay between celebrity, spectacle, and industry reward that Jim has critiqued for decades.
I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless, en masse. And it really felt like, oh, this is a really clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore.
Jada Pinkett Smith's involvement in these controversies has not gone unnoticed, and recent reports suggest that she actively attempted to manage or conceal certain behaviors. According to Bailo Smith, Jada took steps to protect Will by intervening in ways that have now led to legal and financial repercussions. One allegation claims that Jada allegedly directed individuals to silence or intimidate those who were revealing sensitive information, which has now resulted in her being sued for $3 million. While these claims remain part of ongoing legal proceedings and should be viewed as allegations, they demonstrate how Hollywood's networks of influence, loyalty, and self-protection can create situations with serious consequences. From an analytical perspective, these incidents highlight the intersection of personal relationships and professional risk in high-profile entertainment circles. By attempting to control the narrative, Jada may have unintentionally created additional legal exposure. Commentators like Jim Carrey point out that such dynamics are common in Hollywood, where the desire to maintain public image and protect loved ones often collides with the potential for legal and reputational fallout. Moreover, these events illustrate the complex ethical and strategic decisions that celebrities must navigate. In attempting to manage both personal and professional crises, the Smith situation reflects the broader challenges of maintaining privacy, image, and influence in an industry that constantly scrutinizes and monetizes every action.
On Oscar night 2022, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock after Chris made a crack about Jada's hair.
I could tell it bothered you. You did an eye roll.
Right. Yeah, and I did that eye roll not so much for me, and I think this is really important, but the fact that there could be a jab at alopecia.
Will then went on a profane tirade warning Chris not to mention his wife's name. Jada couldn't believe what she was hearing.
What is going on? Now, first of all, I'm really shocked because, mind you, I'm not there. We haven't called each other husband and wife in a long time. But I'm like, what is going on right
keep
now?
My wife's name
out of your mouth, right? And I'm like, but now I'm really worried for Will because I don't know what's going on.
What viewers did not see at the time, while Oscar clips were being shown, was Chris Rock leaning over the stage to talk to Jada.
And Chris looks to me and he says, Jada, I meant no harm. Now, I'm just out of it because I'm really worried about
And
Will.
what's Will doing? He's just sitting there?
And Will's still talking. He's like, because now he's mad because Chris is talking to me. And I go, Chris, this is about some old That's all I could think to say, right? And I couldn't really take in his apology.
How unusual for Will, a guy who, I mean, on that kind of stage to do something so insane.
Absolutely.
It's totally out of character.
It's not him whatsoever.
And to Jada's surprise, she was also blamed.
You became the bad guy. Look what Jada made him do.
It doesn't take a deep analysis to see why Will Smith might be so intent on controlling his public narrative, particularly regarding his involvement in high-profile social circles. Reports from close sources, including Baylor Smith, have surfaced indicating that Will engaged in intimate interactions with other men at private Hollywood gatherings. These revelations add another layer to understanding why Will has been so deliberate about what he publicly confirms or denies. The stakes are high. Exposure could have serious personal and professional consequences, particularly in an industry that closely monitors both behavior and perception. From a commentary standpoint, this highlights the tension between private actions and public image in Hollywood. The industry often incentivizes visibility while simultaneously punishing deviation from curated narratives. Will's situation exemplifies how systemic pressures can force celebrities into complex balancing acts, maintaining an image of control and family stability while navigating personal behaviors that, if revealed, could significantly alter public perception and industry relationships.
As promised, Jada Pinkett Smith brought herself to the red table, and surprisingly, her husband Will Smith joined her. They talked about pain, healing, and yes, Jada's entanglement with August Alsina.
It's all love.
Recently, Alsina revealed to the world that he was involved in a relationship with Jada while she was still married. And even though statements were released denying the affair, Pinkett Smith is now reluctantly confirming that the relationship did indeed exist.
It's a situation that I consider private.
You just feel like it ain't really nobody's business. But now Black Twitter has claimed it as their business.
During the 12-minute Red Table Talk episode, Jada sat down with Will to explain how she met August 4.5 years ago. But the friendship didn't turn into something more until she and Will were ready to call it quits.
You and I were going through a very difficult time.
Yeah.
And we decided...
I was done with your ass.
You kicked me to the curb.
I was done with you.
Yeah.
Marriages have that, though. Marriages have that.
Yeah, we basically, we broke up.
And then what did you do, Jada?
Well, I think from there, as time went on, I got into a different kind of entanglement with August.
Yes, we know entanglement is vague as hell, but thankfully, Will pressed her to be more clear.
An entanglement?
Yes. Yes.
A relationship?
Yes, it was a relationship, absolutely.
We also got clarity on the misconception that Will gave August permission to sleep with his wife.
The only person that could give permission in that particular circumstance is myself.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. But what August was probably trying to communicate, because I could actually see how he would perceive it as permission, because we were separated amicably. Yeah. And I think he also wanted to make it clear that he's not a homewrecker.
Now, if you're like us, you're probably wondering why August? Well, we'll let Jada explain it.
I just wanted to feel good. It had been so long since I felt good. And it was really a joy to just help heal somebody.
Eventually, August broke things off and they haven't really talked since. And the Smiths claim they are now stronger than ever.
We ride together.
We die together.
Bad marriage for life.
Jada Pinkett Smith's public behavior has mirrored many of the dynamics surrounding Will, adding further complexity to the family's highly visible life. Whenever cameras are present, Jada has repeatedly discussed her personal choices, including her affairs and experiences of discontent within her marriage. Analysts and commentators argue that while these admissions are often framed as openness or empowerment, they simultaneously contribute to a cycle of public exposure that affects both Will and their family. By discussing deeply personal matters on platforms like Red Table Talk, she transforms private experiences into public content, which attracts attention but also fuels scrutiny and speculation. This ongoing pattern creates a paradox. Will and Jada are celebrated for transparency, yet criticized for the personal details they disclose. Commentators like Jim Carrey suggest that this dynamic reflects a systemic feature of Hollywood, where vulnerability is both incentivized and monetized. In this environment, private struggles become public narratives, and personal actions are constantly mediated by audience perception and industry expectations. Observers note that Will's sexual orientation and Jada's repeated disclosures of infidelity have become recurring points of public discussion, illustrating the industry's tendency to commodify private life. The result is a continuous loop where personal revelations drive visibility, engagement, and ultimately, influence in a high-stakes entertainment ecosystem.
You know Esther Perel is coming to the table. She's going to be at the red table. Would you say she has been instrumental in you and I redefining our relationship?
I would say don't just start filming me without asking me.
Oh my goodness.
If you could film me.
Esther, come help us again, please. I'm still dealing with foolishness.
Because she don't just...
Would you say that she helped us heal the hurts that we caused one another?
My social media presence is my bread and butter, okay? So you can't just use me for social media and not, don't just start rolling. I'm standing in my house. Don't just start rolling.
Please watch us stare at the red table because she's helped us a lot.
The pattern of exposure extends beyond personal relationships to interactions with younger actors in Hollywood, as revealed by Baylor Smith. Reports suggest that Will Smith engaged in intimate behavior with younger men in the industry, including figures such as Briar Gray, a former Empire actor who has since transitioned into adult entertainment. Will's mentorship of younger talent, which in public statements was framed as guidance and professional support, has been interpreted by some insiders as a cover for more personal and controversial interactions. This duality highlights the complexity of Hollywood's inner workings. Public narratives often obscure private realities, particularly when relationships intersect with power, influence, and career advancement. Commentators argue that the systemic pressures of the industry, visibility, networking, and reputation management create an environment where personal behavior becomes intertwined with professional opportunity. In Will Smith's case, these private actions have contributed to a highly scrutinized public persona, illustrating how Hollywood structures both the rewards and risks associated with fame and exposure.
To do with me. So I was like, okay, so she's just scrolling, and when I tell you I saw some of the most hardcore pornography on Tumblr.
It wasn't, Mom. It really wasn't.
It was hard.
It really wasn't.
It was hardcore for you to be seeing at freaking 11 years old.
Tumblr,
I could not believe that.
No, Tumblr is more of the
kids.
artistic aspect of it, though.
Not what I saw. Well, nothing artistic about that. I saw some hardcore
I don't remember
stuff.
what you saw, but
yeah,
what I know
remember graphically.
What I know about Tumblr.
I was like, Willow, and she was like, don't even pay attention to it. We're getting to my page. I was like, I can't believe kids are exposed to this on a daily basis. I was profoundly disturbed.
But the thing that I will say, though, is that because I had you and Daddy to actually have real conversations with, that stuff didn't really affect me because I knew I had a connection with people that I could talk to about it and knew what the reality of it was.
Let me ask you a question, because back in the day, porn for my generation started in magazines, and then you had to go to a CD store to get a VHS tape. You had to
we didn't have access.
We didn't have access to it like that. So if you had to really go on an adventure to go see some pornography. Whereas for your generation, it's on your phone. It's porn in your pocket.
In your pocket.
What have you seen in regards to your generation? Do you know boys that are fascinated with porn or who have a specific?
I mean, I have two brothers.
Yes, you do.
They're not addicted to porn.
No, they're not addicted to porn, but I've seen some stuff.
Right.
What? What is going on?
That's a TMI moment. All right. All right.
She's like, I can't take it.
I can't. I think I'll probably be in too much shock to even.
Adding another layer to this narrative, there is evidence suggesting that Will Smith's public statements about distancing himself from Diddy were not entirely reflective of private reality. Multiple sources, including photographic evidence and eyewitness accounts, indicate that Will was a regular participant in social events hosted by Diddy. Videos and photos from parties over the years show Will attending gatherings, mingling with influential figures, and participating in high-profile social moments that contradict the narrative of disassociation he publicly presented. These revelations raise questions about the reliability of celebrity narratives, particularly when they intersect with legal, financial, or reputational stakes. Further complicating the picture, insiders such as Diddy's former security personnel have confirmed that Will Smith was indeed a frequent attendee at these gatherings. Such accounts provide additional context, suggesting that public distancing may have been motivated more by optics than actual estrangement. Analysts highlight that this reflects a broader Hollywood phenomenon. Celebrities often curate narratives for public consumption that may not fully align with their private behaviors. The discrepancy between private participation and public denial demonstrates the intricate balancing act required to maintain a public image while managing personal associations. From a structural perspective, these patterns are emblematic of how Hollywood rewards image management. Transparency, vulnerability, or honesty can be secondary to the strategic presentation of personal narratives. By shaping their public image selectively, celebrities navigate scrutiny, protect career trajectories, and mitigate potential fallout from associations or scandals. Jim Carrey and other commentators note that this is part of the systemic pressures embedded within the entertainment industry, a world where perception frequently outweighs reality, and where personal loyalty is often subordinated to professional survival.
The world we're in right now, it's really hard for y'all to discern what's real and what's true, you know? And I've been seeing y'all memes and stuff. People be making memes. I see the memes. I see them now. Some of that stuff is funny. Some of it's funny. But I haven't addressed any of this publicly, but I just want to say this very clearly. I don't have to do with Puffy, so y'all can stop all them memes. I can stop all of that. I ain't been nowhere near no damn freak off. Listen, I do enough of my own. Don't be putting me in other people's. I ain't been nowhere near that, man. I ain't did none of that stupid. So, whenever y'all hear it, if somebody say that, it's a damn lie. I don't even like baby oil. That's not baby oil. But I haven't said that publicly. I just said y'all the first time. I usually don't respond to dumb stuff because it's like people. It's so many things people say, so much stuff. But you know that one, it was your memes was doing too much. Y'all was having me mad.
The scrutiny surrounding Will Smith extends beyond his relationship with Jada. It also affects their children, particularly in how personal information is exposed in the public sphere. One highly discussed example involves Jada Pinkett Smith and her daughter Willow. In a segment of Red Table Talk, Jada revealed that she had introduced her children to adult content at a very young age. Reports indicate that Willow had encountered explicit material on her phone around the age of 11, and Jada's public discussion of this moment sparked significant debate. Commentators argue that this instance reflects a recurring pattern of turning intimate family experiences into content, which further blurs the boundary between private life and public spectacle. From a media analysis perspective, these actions are often framed as transparency or honesty. However, critics suggest they also serve to generate engagement and maintain relevance within the entertainment ecosystem. By sharing highly personal family moments, the narrative of vulnerability and openness is reinforced, which, in turn, fuels audience attention, social media discussion, and overall visibility. Analysts like Jim Carrey view this as emblematic of systemic issues in Hollywood. The industry rewards exposure, encourages public vulnerability, and often prioritizes engagement over privacy. In this case, Willow's personal experiences were broadcast for content, highlighting how celebrity children can become entangled in the cycles of attention and spectacle that define their parents' public lives.
About this sex tape that's being shopped around, a Diddy and another male, they say the other male is an A-list celebrity.
I would wonder if he's white or black. And if I'm looking at any black guys that are A-listers that's bigger than Diddy, it's only one that I could come up with. And there's a few I could come up with. Will Smith, he's bigger than Diddy. I would think Nick Cannon is bigger than Diddy. Who else on the black that are black actors or black in the business that's an A-lister that's bigger than Diddy, that's black? That's hard to think. But then if you got the A-listers, you know, you got to realize he ran with that that Rat Pack And I don't even say their names because they said I got their names wrong last time. What's his name? Kushner? What's the other guy? Leonardo? Yeah, his name. Man, I don't keep up with these cats. But I heard that that's not only the tape that's being shot. There's some other tapes out there, other people too with him. And him doing some things with some other people. So it's quite a few tapes that might be out there, what they're hearing. And I don't want to see the tapes, but I want to know if they really true. Because if they got if they got some tapes out there and it's with some underage, whether it's celebrities or not, it's gonna be crazy.
Hollywood has long been characterized by its intricate networks of influence, and the situation surrounding Will Smith exemplifies how systemic pressures shape both public image and personal behavior. Observers note that the industry has been aware of Will's private actions, including intimate relationships and behaviors that deviate from the conventional public narrative. Despite this knowledge, many executives, producers, and insiders reportedly stayed silent, creating an environment in which private conduct could remain largely unexamined as long as it did not disrupt the industry's broader objectives. In essence, Will Smith's image was partially constructed and maintained by the very system that monitors and monetizes celebrity exposure. As a result, Will did not merely lose control over his public image, he became the embodiment of Hollywood's curated vulnerability. By participating in public spectacles, personal disclosures, and emotional displays, he conformed to a system that rewards visibility, drama, and marketable exposure. From Jim Carrey's perspective, this process highlights a recurring pattern. Hollywood does not merely observe celebrities, it shapes, amplifies, and commodifies their experiences for commercial and cultural gain. Vulnerability becomes both a tool and a product. Furthermore, as additional insiders begin to speak out, the narrative surrounding Will continues to shift. Former associates, friends, and commentators contribute new perspectives that challenge the carefully managed public story. Each revelation not only alters public perception, but also exposes the structural mechanics behind Hollywood's reward and punishment system. Will's experience illustrates a larger truth about the industry. Fame carries both power and entrapment, and even high-profile celebrities are often subject to forces beyond their personal control. These dynamics underscore the precarious balance between personal autonomy, public persona, and systemic expectations that define the entertainment world.
And then I saw sexual acts when I walked in on.
Who'd you walk in on?
Him and Dwayne Martin.
Okay.
Hollywood is the hurry up and wait game. So 3 minutes later, after them telling me, hey, you got eyes on Will, we need him to come watch this. So I'm running all over the studio. He's not in his dressing room. I go to the cafeteria. I'm like, what? But I see his car there. I'm like, where's this guy at? So now I'm holding Dwayne down too. So I have the keys to his dressing room. So I'm like, yo, and they're calling I'm on walkie-talkie and they're calling my cell phone. Yo, we need to get Will here. I'm like, yo, kind of down. Like, I'm trying to find this. Like, this is unlike him, right? So, all right, I open the door to Dwayne's dressing room, and that's when I see Dwayne and having anger with Will.
Let me process that for a second.
There was a couch, and Will was bent over on the couch, and Dwayne was standing up on him. Like, it was murder.
The patterns of exposure and vulnerability surrounding Will and Jada Smith do not exist in isolation. They extend into a broader network of Hollywood relationships, involving high-profile figures such as Oprah Winfrey, Diddy, and Ellen DeGeneres. Over the years, this inner circle has often been depicted as tightly knit, with mutual support, shared publicity, and interconnected social events reinforcing both career opportunities and public narratives. Analysts and commentators suggest that this network also functions as a protective mechanism. When one member of the group faces scrutiny, the others often intervene, either to provide cover or to help manage public perception. However, these alliances can also be highly transactional and conditional. Observers note that when a scandal arises, the public support from peers can quickly shift. For instance, when Diddy faced exposure for alleged misconduct, Will Smith publicly distanced himself, claiming he had no involvement or prior attendance at Diddy's events. This behavior illustrates a recurring dynamic within celebrity circles, where loyalty is often contingent on self-preservation. Even long-standing relationships may fracture under scrutiny, revealing the fragile balance between public image, personal alliances, and career security. Commentary surrounding these dynamics emphasizes how Hollywood prioritizes optics over accountability. The system rewards those who manage visibility and image strategically, often at the expense of transparency or truth. For Will and Jada, navigating this environment involves carefully balancing personal actions, public disclosures, and the expectations of their inner circle. Analysts like Jim Carrey have highlighted that the structural pattern is not unique to them but reflects broader industry norms. Fame is both a currency and a constraint, with vulnerability and exposure serving as both risk and opportunity in the high-stakes ecosystem of Hollywood.
And that it will give people the freedom also in their lives to find their truth.
The 46-year-old actress got extremely candid on the latest episode of her hit Facebook Watch series, Red Table Talk, where she revealed her addiction to sex.
My sort of addictions jump. They jump around. When I was young, I definitely think I had a sex addiction of some kind. Yes, that everything could be fixed by sex.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Or
It's the
thing.
behavior.
It's the behavior that's attached to it. Because if you want to have a lot of sex, that's great. But why are you having all that sex? That's what you got to look at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wasn't the only obstacle she's faced.
I became a gym addict. I was just in the gym constantly. And then I remember reaching a rock bottom. That time I was in the house by myself, and I had those 2 bottles of wine and was going for the 3rd bottle, and it was like, now hold up. You in this house by yourself going on to your 3rd
That's gangster.
bottle of wine. You
What's
might
going
have
on?
a problem.
Jada says she was able to combat the issues herself.
I went cold turkey. That's the thing about me. I can go cold turkey.
Yeah.
I am a binger, and I always have to watch myself and just how I can get just obsessed with things. And, you know, it's not what you're doing, but how you're with it.
Right.
Why you're doing it.
One of the kind of downfalls to celebrity is that you kind of fall into a space where you think you have to be a certain thing for other people. And I've just gotten into a place in my life where I'm ready to dissolve all that, you know what I mean? And be more of what I am truly. And I don't know if people are ready, but
Now, the contrast between Jim Carrey and Will Smith becomes even more striking when you examine how each has navigated Hollywood. Will Smith, unlike Jim, committed his life entirely to the industry, not just professionally, but personally. Every decision, every public appearance, every project, and even the private moments captured on camera seem to revolve around maintaining a particular public narrative. Where Jim pulled back and preserved distance, Will immersed himself, intertwining his family, his career, and his personal life with the machinery of fame. The result is a life under constant scrutiny, one where boundaries between the private and public are almost entirely dissolved. According to observers and commentators who have studied these patterns, Will and Jada's relationship has repeatedly been placed in the public eye, often framed as honest disclosure through platforms like Red Table Talk. But what some analysts argue is happening goes beyond transparency. By airing deeply personal and sometimes painful moments in a controlled environment, the narrative becomes content, and content is currency in Hollywood. Each revelation, each emotional confrontation, is potentially packaged, marketed, and consumed by an audience eager for drama. To Jim Carrey and other critics, this isn't merely entertainment. It is a form of ritualized exposure that benefits the industry while keeping the stars perpetually on display. From Jim's perspective, Will's path is a case study in what happens when an actor and their family become fully enmeshed with the system. Public missteps, personal vulnerabilities, or emotional struggles aren't punished the way they might be for someone who steps back from Hollywood's machinery. On the contrary, these moments are often rewarded. A standing ovation, increased media attention, or career opportunities frequently follow public humiliation, reinforcing the behavior and signaling that Hollywood values exposure over discretion. Critics argue that this dynamic is by design. The industry cultivates stars whose lives are fully visible, whose personal narratives can be monetized, and whose mistakes are converted into profit rather than consequence. Jim has repeatedly suggested that this contrasts sharply with his own choices. By leaving the system, he preserved both his autonomy and his dignity. For Will Smith, observers say, the line between personal identity and public persona has blurred to the point of near invisibility. Everything Will does, whether professional achievements, family matters, or highly publicized mistakes, is interpreted through the lens of the industry. Even private struggles, which Jim notes can happen to anyone in intense public scrutiny, become part of the ongoing spectacle. In this sense, the consequences are systemic, not purely personal. This perspective reframes how we interpret events like the 2022 Oscar incident with Chris Rock. Jim Carrey and other commentators argue that such moments are not merely personal conflicts, but are also amplified by the industry that surrounds them. Hollywood rewards the drama, rewards the spectacle, and in doing so, ensures that those willing to live under such conditions remain both valuable and exposed. It's a dynamic that reinforces compliance, submission, and visibility, all while cloaked as entertainment. In short, Part 3 highlights the stark difference between stepping away and staying fully embedded. Jim Carrey walked away and critiqued the system from the outside, while Smith stayed and became a case study in how Hollywood turns personal life into public currency. And from Jim's point of view, the rewards we'll receive for vulnerability, exposure, and emotional visibility are neither accidental nor undeserved. They are a structural feature of the industry itself.
Great, I'm watching him, he's with my man Charlie Mack, so Charlie was with me every step of the way. First out the limo, so Charlie has been with me, 30 years coming up in the business. So, he's surrounded by a whole lot of strength. He's surrounded by a whole lot of love. And all he has to do is add discipline, and he's going to be all right.
It's like Uncle Will, Who is best to give you advice? And it's Will Smith, and I'm getting so much good advice. I got my first acting role, Empire, and it's changing my life. And it's like, I'm listening from the greatest, and it's like making me well prepared to work with Taraji and Terrence Howard,
Following the public emotional moments captured in 2023, another incident further illustrates the recurring cycle of exposure surrounding Will Smith. A few weeks after the widely discussed memoir interviews, footage surfaced showing Will in another emotionally vulnerable state, this time in a more private setting, his home. Observers noted that while Will appeared uncomfortable, there was no visible effort to prevent the recording. Commentators have suggested that this pattern reflects a broader dynamic in which moments of personal vulnerability are continuously captured and shared, either by choice, by circumstance, or as a consequence of the environment he operates in. From a media analysis perspective, these recordings can be interpreted as more than isolated incidents. Instead, they highlight a recurring mechanism within Hollywood and celebrity culture where private struggles are transformed into content that engages audiences and drives visibility. The repeated exposure of intimate, emotional moments contributes to a narrative that blurs the line between personal life and public persona. Jim Carrey and other analysts have consistently pointed out that such patterns are often structural, not accidental. The system rewards visibility and emotional openness, sometimes at the expense of privacy and personal dignity. Moreover, these repeated exposures have broader implications for how celebrity relationships are perceived. When audiences witness a pattern of emotional vulnerability, speculation and commentary proliferate. Fans and media outlets may interpret these moments as evidence of instability, drama, or dysfunction, even if the reality is far more nuanced. Analysts argue that this constant scrutiny is amplified by the industry's incentive to monetize personal narratives, creating a cycle where public attention is both inevitable and profitable. In this context, the home recording incident is emblematic. It underscores how the structural dynamics of Hollywood, combined with public interest and celebrity vulnerability, continue to shape the narratives surrounding Will Smith. Even private moments can become highly visible, reinforcing the tension between personal authenticity and industry-driven spectacle. From Jim Carrey's perspective, this cycle demonstrates how deeply entangled personal lives are with the mechanisms of fame, making it difficult for stars to retain privacy or control over their public image.